My name is Carly Roberts. I'm a classroom aide at Cuca Lake School, and this is my son Tyler. Tyler is 9 years old and in the 4th grade. He likes Pokemon, Star Wars, and Legos. He wants to be a soldier when he grows up. He's smart, he's charming, he's funny, and he is the most excellent negotiator I've ever met. And Tyler has autism. Tyler was what you would call a high-maintenance baby. He wasn't happy unless he was moving. His swing was his preferred place to be. He screamed from 5:30 to 7 o'clock every night for the first year of his life, and there was no consoling him. When he started to crawl, there was no stopping him. He was constantly in motion. He would get a toy, look at it, throw it down, and move on to the next thing. My house would look like a cyclone hit it within 20 minutes of him getting up. When he started to walk, he started to climb. Baby gates were useless. If he wanted something on the other side, he would climb it. He wanted something on top of the TV stand, he would climb it. The second time he climbed out of his crib, I had my husband take it apart. He loved to spin. He would stand in the middle of the room and spin and spin and spin. I would get dizzy watching him, but he never did. And if he was watching TV or I was reading him a story, he always had a toy to play with. He couldn't just sit still. Along with all the spinning and climbing and moving, there were meltdowns. Horrible, screaming meltdowns where he would throw himself on the floor and repeatedly bang his head. Meltdowns over transitions, meltdowns over being told no, meltdowns for no apparent reason. When he was 2.5, my sister-in-law, who is a speech pathologist, came to me with concerns about his speech. I knew he wasn't talking like he should. No one understood anything that came out of his mouth. But I figured it was because he was my second child, and he had his sister to do all the talking for him. At age 3, he started speech therapy, and between the ages of 3 and 5, he learned to talk all over again, this time with words you could understand. He was 4 years old the first time I heard him tell me he loved me, and could understand what he said. Also at the age of 4, my other sister-in-law, who is an OT, mentioned sensory processing disorder. His constant motion, his touching everything, his hatred of socks and grass, his total disregard for personal space, his extreme dislike for taste and textures, his love of hurtling himself into everything and everyone, it all fit. He started kindergarten with an IEP for speech and was seeing an OT for sensory processing and private therapy. Still, I knew there was more going on. Our next diagnosis was ADHD, which was not a surprise to me, but we were told it was comorbid. I want to point out now that hearing morbid associated with my son scared me. I had no idea what comorbid meant, and as soon as I could, I looked it up. Turns out it means one or more conditions that occur together with a primary condition. We were still seeing a lot of meltdowns at home. One minute Tyler would be laughing and happy, the next he would be screaming. His moods were extreme, and the tiniest disruption in his routine would set him off. We decided to have another evaluation done, this time to check for mood disorders. The psychologist we saw said he wasn't bipolar, and that she didn't think there was anything else going on. She said she thought he should continue therapy anyways until our insurance wouldn't pay for it anymore. We didn't see her again. 3 things happened between kindergarten and 1st grade that made me go to another psychologist and get a second opinion. At a parent-teacher conference, his teacher looked at me and said, "Carly, Tyler doesn't have any friends." I went home and I cried that day. We noticed that when we had more than 2 other people over to the house, Tyler would retreat to his bedroom and not come out until they were gone. These were people he had known all his life, since the day we brought him home from the hospital, and he hid from them. I volunteered in his 1st grade classroom on a weekly basis, and whenever I would go in, he would be hiding under his desk, hands over his ears, looking at a book. These 3 things made everything else click for me, and I knew without a doubt, and with all my heart, that he had autism. A month later, my husband and I were sitting in the psychologist's office to go over the results of her evaluation. We sat there holding hands, listening to her tell us about all the tests she did, and then she said it. She said she was diagnosing him with an autism spectrum disorder, more specifically, Asperger's syndrome. I don't remember anything she said after she said autism. I don't remember how I got home that day. I do remember walking in my front door, running upstairs, hiding in my closet, and sobbing. I remember Tyler coming home from school and sitting on the couch with him, just looking at his face, at his hands, and thinking why. What does this mean for his future? Will he have friends? Will he find happiness? Will he ever get married or have a career? What does this mean for him? I mourned for the future I had envisioned for him, and I mourned for our family. And when I was done mourning, I took a deep breath, and I dove into the world of autism. Raising a child with autism has taught me many things. It has taught me that I have more patience than I ever realized a person could possess. I quite often repeat the same phrase 20 times a day to my child, and have the ability to wait for 45 minutes until he is done screaming at me before I try and talk to him. I have learned how to be an advocate for him, to stand up and make sure that he is getting everything that he needs, even when everyone else says no. I have learned that persistence pays off, because he would not be where he is today if his therapist and I hadn't made him do things he didn't want to do, day after day after day. I have learned that I don't need 8 uninterrupted hours of sleep every night to function, because Tyler has not slept through the night since the day he was born, and neither have I. Usually a 5-hour stretch will do. I have learned not to judge people, because you don't know what may have happened before you see them. Something as small as not having the right kind of bacon for breakfast can ruin my son's day. I have learned about humiliation. I have been the mom in the store whose child is completely out of control. I have been humiliated by stares and even comments about letting him behave like that. I have also learned to appreciate the little things. Every small triumph is a celebration. About a month ago, Tyler looked at me and yelled as loud as he could, "I'm mad!" I could have cried. I was so happy, because up until that day, he never said those words. He just melted down. I have learned how to laugh, a lot, because sometimes the only other choice is to cry. And one of the most important things I have learned is, every day is a new day, a new beginning, a new chance. From the time he was 3 years old, I have been filling out evaluations, tests, and forms. I have been meeting with therapists, agencies, and school systems. I want my child to have all the opportunities available to him, and I want him to have all the supports, services, and tools he needs to succeed. Today, Tyler is mainstreamed and gets OT, speech, and special education support for writing. He gets social skills lessons and attends behavior therapy. He is learning how to play the trumpet. He participates in Big Brothers Big Sisters program. But most importantly, my son has a friend. Parents and professionals need to work together. We know our children, and we want to help you get to know them too. We don't get to leave autism behind when our 8 hours are done. We are staring it in the face every second of every day. We need you, the professionals, to help us, to learn from us and to support us, to value us and not judge us. It is such an amazing thing when the professionals take the time to really see our children, to see past the behavior and realize the potential that they have. Finally, I want you to visualize the fastest, most exciting, most terrifying roller coaster you've ever been on. Do you remember what it was like to ride that ride? You walk up to the gate, climb on, sit down, buckle up. The ride starts and slowly you climb up the hill. You make it to the top and suddenly you drop, only to climb another hill. But this time, you even out for a little bit. And suddenly, you twist, you turn, and then you're upside down. You even out again, then start to go backwards, then forward, then through a dark tunnel. And when you come out, you're turned upside down again. Finally, the roller coaster stops. The ride is over. You pull back up to the gate and an attendant says, "Thank you. Have a great day." And everyone gets off. Everyone but you. You don't. You can't. Raising a child with autism is like being on that roller coaster 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Thank you.